Hi, sixth graders. Tonight we're going to work with another measurement system called the U.S. Customary system. We have the same two objectives that we had with our metric system lesson, and that's to estimate measurements using benchmarks and to use ratios to convert measurements to solve problems. So the U.S. Customary system measures the same things that the metric does, length, weight, and capacity, but our units have changed. For length, we use inch, feet, yards, miles. For weight, we use ounce, pound, and ton. And for capacity, we use fluid ounce, cup, pint, quart, and gallon. And so we taped this benchmark chart into your vocabulary portion of your notes to help you use it to estimate measurements of various items. So I want you to take a couple of moments to review this chart before we move forward. Press play when you're ready. Okay, let's say we want to measure that same whiteboard we did in our previous lesson, but this time we want to measure it in U.S. Customary. So our choices are inches, feet, yards, or miles. And if I look at our benchmarks, an inch would be the top knuckle of our pointer finger, like when we indent in writing. That's about an inch. We could measure in that, but it would take us quite a bit of time, so it's not the most efficient. A yard is about the width of our doorway, and I notice that our whiteboards are larger than that. So a yard could be a potential benchmark. A mile is about 15 football fields. That's far too large. So I think a yard would be a great benchmark. And when I'm looking at that whiteboard and comparing it to the width of a door, I would maybe guess that it's 3 yards. All right, let's say I want to estimate the capacity of a bathtub. So my choices are fluid ounce, cup, pint, quart, or gallon. A fluid ounce is the amount of about an eyedropper. It would take a really long time to fill a bathtub just using an eyedropper. So fluid ounces are far too small. If I'm looking at that benchmark, when I think about the large milk jugs, that's probably the best estimate. So I'm going to use gallon. And here's where it can get a little tricky. Everyone might choose a different number, but I'm guessing it's going to take about 30 gallons to fill up a bathtub. All right, now let's think about the weight of our textbook. We have ounce, pound, or ton. Well, an ounce is a slice of bread, and our textbook weighs a little bit more than just a slice of bread. A pound is about the weight of a soccer ball. That's close to or closer to what our textbook would be, while a ton is a small car, so we can rule that one out altogether. So I'm going to guess pound, and notice that the abbreviation for pound is LB. And I'm going to guess, if I'm thinking about holding my math textbook in one hand and a soccer ball in the other, my textbook is heavier, and I'm going to guess it's going to be 5 soccer balls. All right, now I want you to practice playing with some of these benchmarks by completing problems 1, 2, and 3. All you need to do is match the object with the appropriate unit that I've listed in either A, B, or C. We can convert from one unit of the U.S. customary system to another using the same approach that we did with the metric system, and that's to first set it up as a proportion and then use cross products to solve for the missing term. Again, we taped in, along with our benchmark chart, our unit rate chart into your vocabulary. You're going to utilize it during this portion of the video. So let's say I want to convert 3 yards to inches. My first job is to set up a proportion. So I say 3 yards is to X amount of inches as, and this is where I'll go to my unit rate chart, and I see that I have a unit rate of 1 yard equals 36 inches. Now I've completed step 1. Now I need to use cross products to complete the proportion. 3 times 36 is equal to 1 times X. 3 times 36 is 108. Now I need to divide both sides by 1. to isolate the x. So x equals 108. 3 yards is 108 inches. I want you to go ahead and solve practice problems 4, 5, and 6 in your math notebook. Don't forget you're going to need that unit rate chart in the vocabulary part of your notes. Press play when you're ready to see the work. We can use conversions to solve various problems. Let's say we have the problem that follows. One pilot reported his altitude to be 31,680 feet. Another pilot reported his altitude was 6.5 miles. Who was higher and by how much? Well, the first thing I notice is I have two different units. I have feet and miles. And in order to answer this question, I need to have them be in the same unit. So I'm going to convert the 31,680 feet to miles by using a proportion. Then I'll go ahead and use cross products. So 31,680 times 1 is equal to 5,280 times x. Any number multiplied by 1 is still the same number. Now in order to isolate the x, I have to divide both sides by 5,280. And when I divide 31,680 by 5,280, I find that x is equal to 6. So this amount right here is 6 miles. So pilot number 2 was higher in altitude, and by how much? A half of a mile. I want you to go ahead and try the practice problem. Let's number it as number 7 in your notebook, and press play when you're ready to check the answer. So tonight we worked with the U.S. Customary system, the measurement that we use here in the U.S., and we learned that we can estimate measurements using benchmarks, and we learned how to use ratios to convert measurements in the customary system to solve problems. You can review any portion of this video, and when you feel ready, take the quiz at Schoology, and we'll see you soon.